This striped double crochet blanket is the perfect project for beginners to test their skills. The entire blanket is made from double crochet stitches, even the border. The pattern uses bulky weight yarn, so it works up pretty quickly. The double crochet blanket is worked in back and forth rows and comes in lots of sizes. I made a baby blanket for my nephew, but it's super easy to adjust the sizing for larger or smaller blankets. As you watch the double crochet blanket video, you can follow along with the written pattern that's free with ads on youshouldcraft.com or with an inexpensive ad-free PDF from Etsy or Ravelry. I'll put all the pattern links in the description below. We'll be crocheting a mini version of the blanket in the video, but the same principles apply to the full-size blankets.
You will need an 8mm crochet hook. This is a streamline swirl from Furls. And you will also need 4 different colors of number 5 bulky weight yarn. This is Brava Bulky from We Crochet and Knit Picks. I used 3 colors of blue and then white for the contrasting stripes, but you can use any color combination that you want. Make sure you also have standard notions like a tapestry needle, scissors, and a tape measure just to check your gauge or make sure your blanket's the size that you want it to be. Alright, let's get started crocheting our double crochet blanket. First, make a slip knot. Then begin your starting chain. I'll pop up the size chart, but you can also use the written pattern for help determining how many crochet chains need to be in your starting chain. I'm chaining 16 for the example, which will give me 15 stitches in each row. It's definitely not big enough for a blanket, but it is big enough to show you the techniques that we'll use to make the full-sized blanket. So now we're double crocheting. So yarn over, and then you're going to double crochet in the 3rd chain from your hook. So 1, 2, 3. And I like to use the back bumps, which gives me a cleaner edge, but honestly, since we're going to put a border on this, it doesn't matter. But anyway, I inserted my hook into the 3rd chain from the hook. I'm yarning over and I'm pulling up that first loop. Now there's 3 loops on my hook, so yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over and pull through those last 2 loops, and that gives you your first double crochet. So just double crochet all the way across your starting chain. Again, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, and pull through those last 2 loops. Alright, so this is your first row of double crochets, and this chain 2 that we started with, that's going to count as a stitch for this row. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 in mine. But if you're crocheting a blanket, obviously your chain will be a lot longer than this, or you will have a very tiny blanket. This is about the length you would want it if you were crocheting a scarf. So let's work on row 2. So I'll chain 2 and then turn my work. And again, this chain 2 counts as a stitch. So that's our first DC, and now I've yarned over. And I'll skip this first stitch because I've already got my chain that counts. And I'll insert my hook into that second stitch. And then just double crochet like we did in row 1. So sometimes it can be a little bit tricky finding the top of the chain. It could be really easy to skip this stitch, but then we would only have 14. So there's 15 in row 2. So now we're going to continue going. We'll do 6 rows of this color. Okay, so I have 1 stitch left in row 6. So I'm going to start this stitch like usual, yarn over, insert my hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through 2 loops. But now I'm going to leave these 2 loops on my hook and change colors. So I'll trim my yarn. You want to make sure you're leaving like a 6 to 8 inch long tail. And that'll just make sure that you can weave in your ends and make sure it's super secure because you don't want your blanket to unravel. So then I've got my new color, which is white. This will be 2 rows of white for those contrasting stripes. So I'm just going to yarn over with my new color and pull through those last 2 loops. And then use the tails to kind of pull it and tighten up. But now I'm ready to just start my next row like usual. So I'll chain 2 and turn my work. And I like to crochet over these tails a little bit. So when I do my next double crochet, I'll just make sure that my yarn tail is under my stitches. This just gets you started weaving in your ends. So I crocheted over that tail for the first few stitches, and now I'll leave it loose so that I can weave it in more later. But I'll just finish this row of white. So now I have the first row of white, and I'm going to do 1 more row. The white rows, or the white stripes, are skinny stripes, whereas it's more of a color blocking situation with the blues in this blanket. Okay, so I'm on my very last stitch of the white section. So just like before, I want to prep to change colors. So I'll make like half of a double crochet, and then when there's 2 loops left on my hook, I'll trim my yarn, leaving a 6 to 8 inch tail. And then I'll grab my next color. I'm going to use this kind of like oceany blue. So I'll lay my new color over and then pull through those last 2 loops and then chain 2 and turn. And just like the light blue section we've already done, this section will have 6 rows in it. So all of our main colors will have 6, and then all of our white sections will just have 2 rows to kind of just contrast with skinny stripes. And when you finish this second blue section, you'll do 2 more rows of white, and then you'll do your third color of blue, and 2 more rows of white until you finish your blanket. So go ahead and finish crocheting, and I will catch up with you to show you how to do the border, which is also made entirely of double crochet, just like the blanket. So this is a true double crochet blanket. It's the only stitch you need to know how to crochet. So I'm finishing row 6, which is going to be the last row of my sample. If you're crocheting a blanket, then most likely you will have, oops, I did not make that a double crochet. Most likely you will have more rows to finish up. But this, for the sample, is enough to show you just what the stitch patterns look like. So it's all double crochets, and then we have 6 of a blue color, 2 of a white, 6 of a blue, 2 of a white, and then your blanket will end on a blue repeat with 6. So it starts and ends on one of your bluish or like your main colors. So right now we're going to work on the border. I've got this last double crochet set up to change colors. So I'll trim my yarn, leaving a 6 to 8 inch tail. And I'll use this cornflower blue, this one, for my border color. You can use whatever color you want for the border. Yarn over with your new color. Oops. Pull through those last 2 loops. Tighten it up. Chain 2. And then we're going to rotate our work 45 degrees to the right so that we'll start double crocheting down the side for our border. So this first chain 2 will count as a stitch. I'm going to yarn over and I'll put 2 more double crochets in this corner. This corner is not done yet. We will do the last couple stitches when we've finished up and we've come 360 degrees and then back around where we started. So the general rule of thumb for sewing or crocheting a border onto a double crochet project is that you'll put 2 stitches in each double crochet. So here you'll do 2 double crochets, 2 double crochets, 2 double crochets all the way down the side. So you should have approximately twice as many double crochets in your border as you had rows in your project. Here's my first 2 of those double crochets for the border. Here's the next 2. Notice how I'm going all the way around the stitch. I'm not trying to crochet into the side of that double crochet. I'm just putting my hook all the way around it. So if it helps, you can stick your finger through to help you guide your hook through the hole. But once you have your first double crochet in there, that should make it easier for the second double crochet in your border. go ahead and just keep double crocheting all the way down the side of your double crochet blanket, and then I will catch up with you when you reach the corner to show you where to go from there. So here we are at our first corner. When you get to your corner, you're going to double crochet 5. So put 5 double crochet stitches into this corner. The reason for that is because normally you would want 2 double crochets in the double crochet like we were doing when we crocheted down the side, and then you would normally also want 3 double crochets in the corner. So doing 5 just kind of saves us the trouble. So here's 1 double crochet, and I'm just going all the way around that corner stitch. Here's number 3. 4, and here's the 5th double crochet. So we've got our 5, and you can actually skip this stitch here because you already have that one. It's already part of the corner. So yarn over and into the bottom of the next stitch, just put 1 double crochet. For the bottom and the top of the border, we can just treat this like it was a normal double crochet. So we're just putting 1 double crochet or DC into 1 DC. You will double crochet across the bottom of your double crochet blanket. Okay, so now I've reached the last stitch, but instead of crocheting into the top, I'm going to put 5 double crochets into my corner, just like I did on the other side. So yarn over and just DC 5. That is 3. And I'm just turning my project so it's a little bit easier to access those stitches. All right, so I'm just going to smooth these out a little bit, but there are my 5, so I now have 2 corners finished. Now you'll crochet down the side, putting 2 double crochets around each of these edge stitches, so right into that space. Continue to crochet 2 double crochets in each row, And then when you reach the last corner, or second to last, since we only half finished the first one, but when you reach that corner, I will catch back up with you to show you what to do. Here I am at that corner. So just like the other two corners that we've done so far, right into this space, you're going to DC 5 stitches. Now we'll just DC across the top. Skip this first stitch because that's already accounted for in your corner. And DC until you reach that last corner that we started but didn't get a chance to finish. So here's that last stitch. I'm not going to crochet into it because it's already part of my corner, but I previously crocheted 3. I had that turning chain and then 2 more double crochet stitches. So to reach that 5, which is our magic number for corners, I'm just going to do 2 more double crochet stitches. And there we go. That's the first round of our border. Technically, you could stop here and be done with your blanket, but I felt that since these skinnier stripes were 2 rows, that I wanted 2 rows on my border to match. So let's do a second row, or at this point it's a round because I'm gonna slip stitch to join. So I've inserted my hook, I'm yarning over and I'm pulling through both the loops to do a slip stitch. Now you'll chain 2, which counts as a double crochet. And then now this will look more similar to a regular like single crochet border. So I've chained 2 for the next round of double crochets, but I'm not going to turn because I want the same side to be facing up for both rounds of the border, just so they match. So I'm in the corner right now, and I want to do 3. So we did 5 before, and that was because we didn't have an established corner stitch, and double crochets are bigger. But now we do, so we can just do 3 double crochets into the corner, and then you'll just do 1 double crochet down the sides, and 3 in every corner. So continue to crochet down this side, and then I'll show you one more corner just so you feel more comfortable with it. When you reach the corner, you'll trim your yarn to leave that 6 to 8 inch tail and pull the hook all the way through. Join your tapestry needle, and you'll do what's called an invisible join to connect the last stitch to that starting chain. So insert your hook into the top of the second stitch. So not the top of the turning chain, but the top of the DC. And pull it all the way through to bring that corner tight together. Now insert your tapestry needle into the top of the last stitch, the one you just finished crocheting. And I just bring it down to start off my end weaving. And pull it tight, but be careful about how you pull it. You don't want it to end up so tight that it looks more like a knot than an actual stitch. So if you look, our join is invisible. You can't tell where it started and where it ended. There's no like slip stitch kind of knot in there. So from here, just weave in your ends and then you are done. You'll have your very own double crochet blanket. If you found this double crochet blanket video helpful, please like and share it so other people can find it too. Looking for more crochet patterns and stitch tutorials? Subscribe to the You Should Craft channel or check out youshouldcraft.com. Thanks for watching.